Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today we are back to working over here on the 10EE retrofit restoration job. Again, we've got the electric drive kind of back into operation, working like it should. The motor's working, trying to get it put back together, reassembled. Mostly working on the carriage here with the apron and saddle, the slide, the cross slide, compound, all that. Made a lot of progress in getting it put back together, but we still got some stuff left to do. And I really want to get this knocked out so that we can actually start testing this machine under a load, making some cuts and make sure the electrical system is working like it should. It's working fine, just spinning. The question is how's it going to work when it's actually under a load? And to do that, we got to get it back together. So let's get back at it and see if we can knock this thing out some more. We're going to start by putting our way wipers back on here. These way wipers basically kind of fit up over these ways. They have a little piece of rubber back behind them and often a little bit of felt. And basically what they do is they keep any trash from getting up underneath the ways to prevent any damage from taking place or minimize the damage. Also to keep the oil kind of wiped up in there. Fortunately, the little rubber pieces in these and the felts in these are in pretty good shape. I'm not going to worry about trying to change them out. Most of the time when I do these are pretty much shot and I have to replace them, but as with a lot of things on this machine, they're not in bad shape. So we're just going to go with them. So I'm going to use some socket cap screws here to hold these in place. So let me get these put in and we'll get all of our way wipers reinstalled. We got some flat ways on here. This one goes here. Also got a way wiper here that goes on the front of the cross slide, covers it up, and there's a couple of screws that hold it into place. See if I can get this in there. And get a long screwdriver to kind of get access to that. Got a little oil in that felt in there. Squeezing out. Just wipe that up. And on the back, we have a little extension and cover that just kind of keeps trash from getting down in the ways. There's a couple of socket cap screws that screw this in place. So we'll go ahead and get that tightened up. And next comes the compound. Now, before I put this back on here, I think I'm going to go ahead and take it completely apart, clean it out real good. We may do a little scraping on the cross slides. I'll do a quick inspection on that and see what needs to be done in there. If it's like everything else, it's not going to take a lot. I'm probably going to take this over to the surface grinder once I get it apart and just at least touch the top up on this so I got a good flat surface to mount everything to, and I get it cleaned up and ready to go back on here. So let's go over to the workbench and we'll take this thing apart. All right, let's see what we can do here. Got a couple of cap screws holding on this end piece. All right, and we should be able to just unscrew this. All right, got that out. Now let's pull our gib out, holding it in on both sides. That's adjustable. We'll have a tapered gib in here, similar to what we had on the cross slide, just shorter. So we got a screw on that side, and there'll be one on this side as well. Note to self, the short screw goes on the end down here. Just gonna take a hammer here. Yeah, that just loosens that gib up. Now it's coming out this side. There we go. Pull the gib out. And there we go, come out the front. Let me clean that up and see what this looks like, and we'll go from there. So taking just a quick look at these, they don't look terrible, but I do see a couple of things I want to address. Number one, and probably most glaring, you see these little circular marks here on the bottom. That is directly underneath or above the nuts to adjust this. So it looks like someone adjusted those up and jacked them up into this and actually scarred it up a little bit. That needs to be flattened back out because that's really rough now. And also, if you look on the slide here, there's some clear scratches in here that's probably directly related to these marks here where they kind of went from one to the other. So I think what we will do is we're going to just scrape these in. I don't think it's going to take much to do it. Let's pull the nut off there. We've got the nut here, little brass nut. There is a bolt on the bottom with some spanner pins in it. We'll take a little adjustable spanner wrench here and see if I can loosen that up. All right, that comes out, and just want to kind of get an idea of how worn this nut is. So I'm going to screw it back up on here. And there's hardly any end-to-end play in there. So again, a good sign that this lathe has little wear. We've seen that consistently throughout this whole process. All right. I think what we will do is we'll start by scraping this flat. We'll scrape it in and get it flat on the surface plate. We'll then use that as a reference surface to get the bottom to match, and we'll check the dovetails out. Same process as we did over on the cross slide, just a little bit smaller surface here to work with. So let me get set up to do that. I'm also, once I get this scraped flat, I'm gonna take this to the surface grinder and we'll grind the top of this parallel to it and to just clean it up. It's got some scratches and dings and whatever in it. And I'll probably go ahead and touch the sides up too while I'm at it, just to kind of make it look nice. All right, let's do some scraping. Start by putting a crosshatch pattern on here, so we'll do that and then we'll go glue it up and start scraping it in. And I'm going to glue up my surface plate, and we'll see where we're at and where we need to go. All right, I've got a thin layer of spot ink here on the surface plate. This surface plate is extremely flat, and it is becoming my reference surface that we will use to check the flatness of the bottom of this. We'll rub it on the blue, and the blue will transfer from the surface plate to the highest points, or the points that are coming in contact here. The goal is that we want to end up with blue marks that are uniform and consistent all the way across this part, not just touching in one or two places. Let's see what we got. Well, this is where we ended up at. Again, good coverage from end to end. Points of contact, that's what we want. We don't want a perfectly flat, smooth, as a glass piece of surface. We want individual points of contact in here, and that's basically what those blue dots are representing. That gives us room for our oil to go. It reduces the friction. Actually, it'll wear slower and more accurately with a pattern like this than if it was solid, surface ground, smooth from one end to the other. So this is good. And just for reference, that whole process from just straight out of the box to where we are now took me about 45 minutes. I didn't count how many passes. It actually came in a little bit slower than what I thought it would, but it came in. It wasn't no big deal. Fairly straightforward. So now I think what we'll do is we will use this as our master, as our straight edge, whatever you want to call it, and we will glue up to the bottom of the mating piece and get it done, and then we'll work on the dovetails. So I've been scraping on the bottom of this, and I'm pretty much happy with where we're at. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for the job at hand here. And basically what I did is we blued up what we scraped before, and then this was brought over and basically used to transfer the blue over to here. So now these surfaces match these surfaces. They're in the same plane. Everything's like it needs to be. And we should be all good to go. I'm going to come in here and do a little bit of work on the dovetails. Probably not going to show it, guys. I mean, it's just, you've seen me do this in other videos. When I'm doing the dovetails, I do them by hand, using a hand scraper rather than power scraping them. Again, this has come in very quickly, so it's not badly worn, but while we got it apart, might as well just touch it up and get it in tip-top shape. So what I will do is I will start with this dovetail over here. I'll get it scraped in with the straight edge, and then we will come over and transfer that to here, blue it up, and kind of the same thing on the other side. On the other side, though, I'll probably have to start with tell you what, I'm going to do this different. I'm going to scrape the bottom first and let this be the master for the dovetails. And the reason is that the gib that goes in here, this side is tapered. So the gib will fit in here kind of like such. So I won't scrape the inside of this because this inside surface is pretty much untouched, but we will scrape the gib to match it, but we're going to have to match it against this surface over here. So it's going to make more sense to scrape these sides first. I will get those done, and then we'll come in and match them. And like I said, I'm just going to do it off camera, and we'll move on with this project. All right, we are over at the surface grinder, and I've already got this finish scraped out, and now what I want to do is go ahead and just touch off the tops and the sides of this with the surface grinder. I've got it set on here. I've already dressed my wheel. We need to lower this down. I've got it dropping down right now. And we'll touch off in there. And we're just touching off right there. I'm going to come up a couple of thou. got our wheel feeding across. I'm going to drop down a couple of thou, and we'll just touch that off until it cleans up all the way across. Shouldn't take much. And we're touching off right there. Drop it down about another thou. Drop it down another thou. And we're just about cleaned up on there. Got a little bit down here on the back side that hadn't touched off yet. Alright, we're just going to let this spark out. Let it just run here on this level for several minutes and get a nice smooth cut. So I got the part turned up on its side now. I'm going to go ahead and touch off on these two sides. I got some magnetic transfer blocks kind of on either side of it. Come up just a little bit. Give it some support. Alright, here we go. We're gonna once again start feeding down a little bit and until we touch off, and we'll get that side cleaned up. I have flipped the part over, and we're just gonna basically let it grind right there where we left off. It shouldn't take off much because we're at the same height we were at before. So it's just barely kissing it in a couple of little spots. Feed about another thou. And I should mention here, guys, that the purpose of doing the sides is purely cosmetic, just to kind of clean it up. These have no real purpose from a standpoint of needing to be perfectly square or flat or anything like that. So I'm not going to a lot of trouble to check these to make sure they're parallel and square and all that. There's just not a need. So that was cleaning it up, and we took about 3/1000, maybe 2.5. So I'll let that spark out, and I think we'll have our grinding done. All right, we have the top reground, and it looks nice. And before we put this back together, there's one more thing we need to take care of. And that is on the bottom, we've got this surface that rotates around. And I think I'm going to go ahead and scrape that to the plate over there, or to the cross slide. I think what I'll do first is the mating surface has been ground. I'm just going to figure up the diameter that's on there. We're going to do a scraping pattern on it. I'm not going to worry about bluing it up or anything like that, but then we will, it's been ground, so theoretically it should be flat. We'll just break it up with a scraping pattern, and then we'll come in here and we'll blue that up, compare this, and get this scraped in so that it's running with good contact around there, and make sure that nothing's out of whack here. So let's do that. All right, we'll start. Just going to drop this on here. I'm just going to take a Sharpie pen and just kind of outline the diameter here that it rotates around on. This will just tell me the area that I need to scrape in. The bolt dropped down in the hole back there. Use a magnet and pull it up. There's a hole right underneath there, and gravity's just letting that drop down in there, but I can take a magnet, pull that back out. All right, so that should tell me the area that we need to scrape here, and we'll pull that back off. Now I'm just gonna put a little scraping pattern on that. I also need to get this inside part. Alright, that should break that surface up so that we can blue it up now and give a little bit of oil areas down there, and give us those points of contact rather than solid contact, which is what we're after. I'm going to get my shop vac and vacuum up all that dust out of there, and then we'll blue it up. I'm just going to use a little dauber here to put some blue on this area. I'm going to put a blind scraping pattern on the bottom of that other piece, the mating piece. We'll come over here and blue this up and see what needs to be done for the scrape it in to match. So I'll put a scraping pattern on there just blindly, and we'll drop this on now and let them blue up to one another. And we can see our area of contact. Looks like it's hitting in the center, but not so much on the outside. Let's see if I can get that in the camera a little bit better for you guys. I'm gonna do some scraping. We'll get this blued in where it matches, and I think we'll have our scraping done and we can start putting this back together. I'll finish this up off camera, but you can kind of see the process. All right, guys, I've got that scraped. I wiped the blue off before I remembered to shoot the video, but I've got good contact in there. So this is all ready to go back together. Before I put this on though, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get everything reassembled, and then we'll just install it all as one unit. So let's go back over to the workbench, and we'll get this put back together. Let's see what we can do about getting this together. So because of this post here, whenever I was scraping it, I just drilled a hole in a 2x4, and that sits down in there, so now that'll sit flat, makes it a little bit easier to deal with. So first thing I need to do is get the nut put back in here. We need to get this put back together, so the nut is gonna drive down into that hole. It is captured in that slot to keep it from sliding from one side to the other. And then this little screw here on the bottom tightens it all back together. And let's find my little spanner wrench here, pin spanner. It's not really the right size pins for this, but it'll work. All right, that is tightened up. Tell you what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put the rest of this together over on the lathe, because I can go ahead and tighten my nuts up without having to fish them in up underneath the side. When this cross slide goes on, I've just got a little ledge there. It's hard to get those nuts started. You can do it, but it'd be easier on the lathe. So let me go put this over there. I'm going to start by putting a little bit of oil kind of on this area here to make it spin a little bit easier. I'm also going to put some down inside of here so those T-nuts can slide. Now we will drop this on here, get our screws lined up. It spins beautifully. And I got some nuts here that are used to tighten everything up with. And I got some new nuts. These are 3/8 inch 24, which is fine thread. But I just went ahead and replaced it. Actually, when I went over to get the old nuts to put on here, I only had one, and I can't remember if there was only one on here when I got it or whether we lost one in the process, but since I was going to have to replace one of them, I just went ahead and replaced both of them. So I want to go ahead and get this set on 29.5 degrees, which is the angle I use for thread cutting. That's just where I usually leave it set at. Of course, it can be changed to whatever angle you need, but I typically leave it on that so that when I get ready to cut threads, it's where it needs to be. All right, I've got some oil on here already. I want to have that lubed up really good. We will put our cross slide on the top here, and that slides like butter. We will put our gib in. And we got our screws here to adjust the gib. All right, that feels good. Now we will come in here and get our cross slide lead screw put back in. Some socket cap screws here to attach that back in place, and once again I'm replacing these with new hardware. And voila, our cross slide is working. Gib feels good and tight, no side to side rock. All right, got that knocked out. And for a tool holder, got this Aloris type tool holder that came with it when I bought it. And I'm just going to put it back on there. And this is an actual Aloris brand. It's not one of the imports. Let me get something to tighten that up. There we go. Tighten that up. This is a BXA size tool post. And of course you put your cutters in here to use it. All right, with that, I think we've got everything reassembled here on the cross slide, and the whole apron is all ready to go, or the carriage is all ready to go. Well, there we go. I am tickled to death to have all this back together again. I was a little bit nervous about it because I think I mentioned this before. I had some help in the shop, it's been about a year ago, a little over a year ago, that took all this apart, and I was not here when they took it apart. I did not video it when they took it apart. So I was having to kind of put it all back together, just figuring it out as I went, which most of it made sense. I had taken my other one apart several years ago. It's a little bit different, but pretty similar. Wasn't a big deal, but it was a little bit nerve-wracking trying to, okay, how does this go and what have you, but we got it done. And the good news is no leftover parts. That's always a good sign, other than the screws and stuff that we just replaced. I got a big pile of socket cap screws and whatever that we just replaced as we were going through here. I just, you know, is it necessary? No, but I just like, whenever I'm doing this, I usually will swap all that stuff out. A lot of times the heads will get kind of stripped on the screws and the what have you, and it just, putting new fresh hardware in there just kind of makes it look a little cleaner, but also you don't have to worry about something being old and stretched or wore out. So, but everything, I think, is working fine. Up next, get the tailstock put back on here. And I think once that's done, we can take this thing for a spin. Keep our fingers crossed. All right, guys. With that, that's a wrap on this episode. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up, those comments are always greatly appreciated. Hit that bell icon to get notifications when new videos are posted. As always, a big, huge thank you to those who support the site financially through Patreon, PayPal, and through YouTube memberships. All really great ways to help out and go a little bit above and beyond. And that is what enables me to be able to take the time to shoot these videos and bring them to you. Guys, with that, we're going to sign off. We're going to get out of here. We'll catch you on the next video. Again, as always, thanks for watching.